Australia has got very used to the idea that our wars are fought by people that we probably don't know in places we've either never heard of or we never see what the consequences are of those wars. We live in a world where the cheapest pair of shoes that you get are made in countries that either you've never heard of, you'll never visit, but people are paid absolute slave wages to be able to make those things that we take such great advantage of. And there is a burgeoning problem in Australia that is debt. Now, I am somebody who has had to bite my tongue and bite my tongue hard, as Conservative governments have fired the cash cannon to try to keep our economy going in a time when demand for the economy has been completely shut off, firstly by international borders and then secondly by the stupidity of some of the state and territory border decisions. But now we are getting the bill. Now it is time to pay the piper. Shane Wright in the Channel 9 papers today was kind enough to do the work for us, but I wanted to show you here about the government debt that exists right now in this financial year of 2020 to 2021, July to June next year. This is the debt that is currently being put onto the books from the federal government all the way through to here in the territory. The numbers are frightening. $703 billion at the federal level. In New South Wales, it's $53 billion just this year alone. $86 billion in Victoria, $25 billion in Queensland, $39 billion in Western Australia, $15 billion in South Australia, almost $2 billion in Tasmania, and even here in the Northern Territory, it's $8.4 billion. So that means when you add it all together, this right now, this financial year, is how much we owe the rest of the world. Now, yes, interest rates are very low. Theoretically, our capacity to pay this debt is pretty damn good. But remember, this credit card bill of $938 billion is what we owe if nothing else bad happens. If there's no second wave in some place, third wave in other places. That is how much we currently owe. That is how much we currently owe when iron ore is being sold at record prices. When there is no need for any government anywhere to reach behind the back of the couch for whatever emergency might happen between now and June of next year. But are you sitting down? Because the numbers keep going up. Based off the federal and state budgets, the year after, which is 2022 to 23, $1,077,400,000,000. That is how much our governments are spending more than they are making, that they will owe because of how much they are spending more than they are making. The next year, $1.2 trillion and $1.3 trillion the year after that. Now, the problem with government debt is that as long as the ATMs still work, as long as people are still in jobs, as long as the welfare check's still getting paid, and as long as the lights stay on, no one's going to notice. Now, I'm not pretending that we're about to become Greece tomorrow, but we need to understand that one of the consequences, particularly, of how the states mismanaged coronavirus or overreacted, means that we owe the rest of the world $1 trillion this year, next year, the year after, and the year after that. Now, as I said, I had to bite my tongue because as a deficit hawk, as somebody who, for years and years and years, has pointed out the problems with endless deficits and endless racking up of debt, that we've had to put some principles to one side. And sometimes racking up debt is a good thing. Because as I have argued the whole way through, even though it is incredibly expensive to have the JobKeeper system, the JobKeeper system saved people from losing their jobs. The older you get, the further you are away from town, it is harder to go back into a job after losing it. This graph turned up today about just how many jobs had actually been saved as a direct result of JobKeeper. The best part of 700,000. The cost, apparently $86 billion. Not cheap. But think about the fact that as soon as you're over the age of 40, and as soon as you are further away from the central cities, your chance of getting a job gets harder and harder. That's why that system was put in place, to make sure that people could stay in a job so that when demand returned to the economy, things would start to get back to normal. But the problem is the state government spending too. State governments right now could not care less and have very little plan for how they are ever going to balance their budgets and how they are ever going to pay off those credit card debts. At least the federal government has the ability to grow the economy, to have more people in a job, which means they are paying income tax and more companies paying company tax. The more people who buy things means the more money goes through the GST, and that's their plan for how eventually they can get there.